mindful of my urge to share and stay with this urge whenever I noticed it, which was at least hourly over the 2 days. I pondered this choice. And so here's what I learned. I wouldn't be Dr. K if I didn't share a little bit of what I learned. Not having a cell phone service can help. Maybe not even taking my cell phone with me could help. So I don't have cell phone service, but yeah, I take my cell phone. Ironic, right? By not allowing myself to take my phone out every time I had the urge to share something beautiful, I have no outlet for this urge. It caused me to feel a bit helpless at first. Then I started to stay with the urge. And what was causing it? What did it feel like physically in my body? What fears were coming up? What good hearted intentions could I find? By not giving myself an outlet, I allowed myself to explore with curiosity. We want ourselves to look awesome. We're social animals, so it makes sense that we want to look good in the eyes of others. We want them to think we're living good lives, that we're exploring the outdoors, traveling to new places, or something, finding some sense of what awe is in our life. Photo sharing is a way of sharing that sense of awe, but also to let others know that we are awesome for finding these awe inspiring moments. I'm not saying anything bad about this desire to look good to others. Some might judge it, but I think it's natural and normal. We wouldn't be who we are if we didn't have this desire. And those who say that they don't have the desire are probably not being honest with themselves. So, what if we have this urge? But what can also realize is that we don't need this. We can find happiness without having to show others how great we are. Of course, I'm negating that very statement by telling you all about it. So take this with all your grain of salt. We want our friends and loved ones to enjoy it too. We've made an amazing discovery and we want other people to be inspired by this awesomeness. We want them to have this awesomeness in their lives. They might get so excited, they'll travel to this place too, right? And that's a good hearted desire. This wanting to give what we found to others. I know I've been inspired by other people by sharing their stories, travels, adventures, and I've found good information from what they've shared. I've even been moved to travel to some of these places myself. So there's good heartedness there, and it's helpful. Still, there are others who are bothered by all the good things that people do share. I see the commentaries. They feel that it's some sort of bragging, and it might feel like jealousy. It's worth contemplating what kind of effect your sharing might have. This moment is entirely enough, and if you come across a gorgeous forest of pine trees, it can feel so amazing that you feel the need that you want to share it. So why? Why do we need to add the act of sharing to the already great moment? What I forced myself to reflect on is, as I ran into these breathtaking scenes, was whether the moment was already enough without the sharing. And it was, repeatedly. We can enjoy this moment without sharing it with anyone. We can appreciate it for all its beauty without needing anyone else to do so. We can be alone in our appreciation without needing someone to join us. It might feel incomplete without sharing it, but it's not. It's complete and wonderful, just as it is. Sharing is a way to deal with the overwhelming feeling of excitement. And when we find majestic view of mountains in the sunset, it can be very lovely. So moving that we feel the need to deal with this overwhelming feeling somehow. So when we share a photo, this is our way of coping with this feeling that overwhelms us. I couldn't share it with anyone, so sometimes I would yell it out in joy. But other times I would just turn inward and notice this overwhelming feeling of joyfulness. I noticed how the strong feeling was and how strong was my urge to deal with it in some way. How do we deal with powerful feelings? By taking action, usually, right? What if we just stayed with the feelings? Notice how they feel. Face them with courage, explore them with curiosity, and this is harder than most people realize. But doable, people, it's very doable. And what happens when we stay with these feelings? Is that what we realize we can handle without needing to take action? We can find the courage to stay. We can just sit and do nothing. And it's a brave way to live this facing without running. I'm not advocating you stop sharing. That's not me. I'm not a technology phobe, and I'm simply recommending inserting a dose, just a small dose, of mindfulness into this process. And if you look closely around you, the seasons are changing and the trees are beginning to turn colors. One of my very favorite seasons out here in Denver, Colorado, and maybe because of my birthday, is just right around the corner, but I'm not so sure. So we're going to finish this off with a little bit more from DJ Brian Matthew, an hour of hip hop that doesn't suck. And when we come back here on the mic on KUHSdenver.com, we are going to have Todd Hassel and Casey Kennedy, and they're going to be talking to us about their art studio. So no se vayan, quédense aquí con nosotros en el KUHSdenver.com. That was my way. They have a glass studio, so. This is how we do it.
It's Friday night. You gotta get your groove on before you go get paid. So tip up your feet and put your hands up. Let me hear the party say, I'm kind of buzzed and it's all because stop saying so dancing like nobody does. Oh, my neighbor, she got much flavor. Let's let the track with the old school vibe. This is how we do it. All hands are in the air. And wave from here to there. If you're an OG back or a wannabe player, see the words been given to me. Ever since I was a lowercase G. But now I'm a big G. The girls see I got the money. $100 bills, y'all. If we wait from where I'm from, then you will know that I gotta get mine. And I feel like you can get yours in the same. Whatever it is, the party's underway. So tip up your cup and throw your hands up and let me hear the party say, I'm proud of you. Stop saying dancing like nobody does. Tomorrow my neighbor, she got much flavor. Let's flip the track with the most flavor. I'm proud of
And the camera. Okay. So whoever Tom, Casey, you guys right here, and I'm off camera, so you guys will be at. And we have a full house, so we stream worldwide. We brought them in from Iceland. We bring them in from Hong Kong, Japan, everywhere. I always pack in a full house. So.
This computer here tells where they're listening from. It rotates periodically.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have it.
Can I take a picture?
Please do.
Okay.
And I've had guests in here when they're watching, because if they go to KUHS, remember how I told you they have the option to listen or watch?
Yeah.
So that's right there. You see the little kid? Yeah. We've had them where they've taken pictures of you guys while they're watching. Now, those are your headphones, so people freak out when they hear their voice, so it's your option. But
I gotta hear myself.
Some people have to hear themselves. I like my voice, so usually I go home listening to my show because I always have to hear it.
You have a nice video.
So when you think we're totally doing this improv, I've taken over custody of my grandson, and then I had this funeral. But I think that we touched on it a little bit briefly, and I think what I was going to talk about was community, and community is great. But what I'm going to do is normally I ask you guys to do your introductions. We'll start with you, and then we'll go with you and introduce yourself. So it can be brief, but remember we have a whole hour. When we get going, the hour does go fast. Can we stop it? The commercials are still not working?
Yeah, we got some wrong with that file. So.
Yeah, so with internet, we have to keep going, so we have no commercial breaks.
Full hour for it.
Yeah, so this will be fun. You want to count down the 30 seconds, and then you will do the intro again with Dr. K, and I'll do my bumper, and then we'll
We
go.
can play that one. All these
Oh, no, we don't.
This computer's having issues.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll do my life.
What kind of bio do you want? Like where I came from?
Where you are, yeah. Well, no, I'm going to ask those questions. Are you from here? So give us a little bit about, like, how you have the arts, so your arts education. I think that would be great. Some of that.
That's real quick. I think you should.
Because at the end of it, we're here still talking about your art studio. And we're going to talk about where it's located. Are you guys going to
Like
showcase anything?
sustainability. Come on, you know what we write about.
But you guys going to have, like, an open house? Are you guys going to do anything like that?
Yeah,
So,
sure. This was Friday.
Fridays.
On October.
So,
That's a good thing about working here. Boss doesn't care.
We all
Boss
do.
doesn't care.
Do we
Boss doesn't
smell like
care.
cigarettes?
No, marijuana.
no, we all do.
We.
Everybody.
Oh, you're a virgin.
Yeah, my birthday's next week, but we're really big, and we've been trying to get a few dispensaries in here too. I already
She
tried,
and I have already talked about them.
but we're going different ways too now. We're going to the people wholesale.
We've been to Kind Love and
I work with a magician when we go out and do events, and so he's trying to get me introduced to some people. But I tried for a while with Green Solution, and I started seeing what we were talking about.
Networking is great. There's so many things going on out there.
Yeah, and pretty soon we're gonna be doing live concerts in the back, so that's what Beatport, and we're gonna take it a whole different notch.
Oh, that's real cool.
Indeed.
So whenever you're ready, I don't know. It's just up to you.
30 seconds.
Yep.
Start the 30 seconds, maestro.
Okay. The volume's too loud. I can turn it down. Is it too loud?
Yeah, you guys.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you, Casey, to come up a little bit close. So this is gonna be your best friend, but it does pick up every little bit of extra noise you do. So even if you start picking your
Okay,
nose,
so we're like 10
you guys are on
seconds.
camera.
You ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we are back here in the studio with KUHSdenver.com. And this is that part of that hour where we turn the music off, the commercials go away, and we actually have a one whole hour of talk time with real questions and answers. So estamos aquí con la doctora Khan en KUHSdenver.com, donde originamos aquí en Denver, Colorado, pero estamos tocando las vidas de las personas musicalmente por todo el mundo y hasta a veces intergalácticamente. So I have Todd Hassel on the mic, and I have Casey Kennedy on the mic. Hi, guys.
Hello, how are you?
We're pretty good. We actually have a full house here tonight. We have a worldwide audience here at KUHSdenver.com. So I'm going to start off with you, Todd. Can you give us a little bit of a brief bio for all those people who don't know who you are and a little bit about your art studio?
Sure. My name is Todd Hassel. I live here in Denver, Colorado. I am a glass artist, or an architectural glass artist, I guess, whatever you want to call it. We do jewelry, we do functional glass, we do art glass, we do vessels. We just opened an art gallery or art studio down in the Santa Fe Arts District in Santa Fe. And we're excited to share with the community here pretty soon about just learning, education, and creation. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Awesome. We'll get a little bit more into Todd, but we're going to move the mic over to Casey.
Yes, ma'am.
So give us a little bit of a brief bio for all the worldwide audience that doesn't know who you are.
Hi, I'm Casey Kennedy, and I'm originally from Texas.
Ah, me too.
Oh, nice. A Virgo and from Texas. Sweet.
Oh boy.
And I've been in Colorado for about 5 years. My mom was an art teacher for the majority of my life, and I've always loved art and met Todd, and we decided to open an art studio. So,
Nice. So you kind of you fuse those talents together. I love that. I love that.
There's a long story.
There's a
between
very
the two
long
of us.
Oh, we'll get there. Dr. K does get into the questions. Now, just to give everybody a little bit brief heads up, normally I do send out questions to my guests because I don't like to hit them with other questions, that they may not want. But yet here at KUHS, we pride ourselves in being totally, completely unfiltered. Didn't have that time this week because I had other personal things happening, so we're going to totally improv this. Todd, did you grow up here in Colorado?
I did not. I'm originally from Texas as well.
Interesting.
I've been in Colorado, I guess, 17, 18 years now. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what part of Texas?
Lubbock.
Okay. And I actually would from Killeen, so not really Killeen. We would call it Bell County, which is an army base, pretty
Right.
much. Yeah. How about you, Casey? Where did you? What
Lubbock,
part?
Texas.
You
Well,
too.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We actually went to the same high school together.
Did you guys know each other?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we dated when we
dated.
were 20, and yeah, there's a long story
Interesting.
there. A lot of time.
Well, you guys, they actually really do look a lot younger. So I guess they keep saying this long history, but they look pretty young. So it's interesting that prospectively, how they say, but if you're really happy, it's really what's inside that really does matter.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of education do you have that actually kind of or led and inspired you to this glass artwork?
Well, I've got a culinary education of some sort. So I've been a chef most of my life, my adult life. I've worked for Disney and major corporations and things of that nature as a chef. And I traveled Europe for about 6 years. And when I got back to America, I was like, there's no way I can go back into a kitchen. And so I got my hands on some glass, and from then it was an everyday thing. I had to play with it. I had to read about it. I had to know its chemical breakdown. I had to know how it, how it works, melting, how it flows, melting.
Alchemical.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everything about it I had to know. And so I never went back to a kitchen, and then I got a job at a dispensary and was like, all right, I'll sell weed and blow glass.
That's where Dr. K met them. No, absolutely. We'll put a plug in there for a green solution there. Hi, everybody. Now, I have a question, Casey. So who does the cooking?
Todd.
Totally.
Totally.
The cleaning?
I was
or-
the cleaning. I've always loved the Virgo in me.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I'd rather have it clean in my way than so it works out.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is totally awesome, you guys. That's totally awesome. Now, Casey, do you do some of that artwork too?
I do. I just learned how through Todd about glass. I like to make paper and cards and crafty type stuff.
Mixed media, really.
Yeah, I never really considered myself an artist until I met Todd, and yeah,
All right, so let's back it up. Okay, so that's my cue to back it up. Okay, so you guys met in high school. You go to
Yes,
high
ma'am.
school,
Mhm.
and did you start dating then, or was it after high school that you guys started dating?
We started dating the year she graduated from high school, and I had already been out of high school. So I was buying her beers and
Lovely.
and then we parted
You're
ways.
taking
And
care of her.
right.
Yeah.
Then we parted ways in the late '90s for about 10 or 12 years, and then ran into each other again at Christmas in our hometown the year before I was going to Europe. And she had just got divorced, so she kind of went off and did her thing, and I went to Europe for a few years, and then
got married.
I got married and divorced in that time. And
That's how life works.
right,
Yeah.
And so when I got back to Colorado, I found out she was up in Carbondale, and I was like, oh, sweet, well, I'll come to Carbondale. And that's actually where we just came up with the whole idea of the art.
I
Fusing
was
everything
I was
together.
teaching, a special needs teacher, and did
Oh, I
that for
love
about
that.
15 years. And actually moved to Carbondale, Colorado to work with kids on the autism spectrum, and loved it. And actually worked at a camp. It was Extreme Sports Camp at the time. It's now Syndigo. And fell in love with the area and fell in love with people and the small community.
Oh, exactly.
And
There's that
yeah,
community.
came from Austin, Texas. So it was big change.
The intimacy was nice
Yeah.
for you.
And so yeah, and then taught for about a year there. And then when I met him, he kind of got me on the same kind of way. We were thinking the same, and I was like, this is not what I really want to do for the rest of my life. And
I talked about that in my first hour. Like, are you really happy?
mm-hmm.
Do you really want to be working for the rest of your life? And if that's not what you're really happy about, then you need to flip that. But the choice is yours. You need to make that choice. And so you two have been completely, totally empowered on that realm. And so you meet back up. Is it an instant connection?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So just like riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
quickly found out that we lived parallel lives, apart, and still had the same interest in love, and wanted the same thing in life, and so here we are.
So you both have moved out here. How did this whole art studio come about?
Well, it was just kind of a vision of self-sustainability, a vision of being able to get up every day and to create. Even if it wasn't playing with glass every day, we like to spray paint, we like to tear things up, we like to weld things, just to create something and to give that opportunity to not only ourselves, but a lot of artists that are faced with the same things we face, and that's financial strain from being an artist and the ability to rent a space where you can actually go fire your piece of ceramic or your glass. So we found this self-sustainable farm up in Carbondale, and they rented us a space in their horse barn, and that's where we started the first year of everything, just burning all the glass and stuff in the horse barn, and attending some markets in Carbondale and attending some holiday fairs in the Roaring Fork Valley, and we got a really good response from it. So I was like, we got to go somewhere where there's more commerce, where we can reach a larger, we'll keep our ties here, but we've got to go where we can reach a larger span of people, and where, maybe we can advance from a horse barn to a storefront, which is where we're at now.
The Santa Fe Art District.
Yeah. To be exact.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and that's probably one of my all-time favorite hangout spots down there. There's just such a sense of community.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you're going to find different philanthropic people, various different avenues of different shops down there, various different businesses, but mostly art that really does touch to the community. So I think you and we had started going down this road about how community is really important in networking, and especially when you're trying to establish yourself, whether it is at an art studio, whether it's a radio station, whether it's just a business. However, how important is that to you guys specifically with your art studio?
you want to go first? You want me to
Wow.
go first?
Yeah. I think it's been real crucial for us because we don't have the 4 years art degrees and art history majors, and we didn't go to school for art. And so it's nice to know people that are we've networked, we love the artsy fartsy people,
Yeah.
and they're all over our life making all sorts of stuff. And um,
It's basically in an essence of a way that you have to show yourself through the community before you can actually sell yourself. And so the community right now that you're looking at is the Santa Fe Art District. And I can say for somebody, I wasn't raised here in the United States, but when I came into the United States when I was about 14 years old, I came in right in here to Denver, Colorado. But my family has very well established grounds here in Colorado. And Santa Fe Art District, whether now through gentrification or whatever alchemical change it's gone through, it's always been an art district and a very close network of community. So you guys being a little bit not necessarily here from Colorado, and I know it's a
Right.
touchy subject, I'm
Yeah.
sure because you work in a dispensary
Sure.
and you might hear that. So, I mean, and I think that that's in an essence, it's really important, I'm sure, for you guys to network and be involved in every aspect of community that is going out there. And what necessarily would tug at your heart? I know for me and you said something and I waited for the right moment, but we do have more common ground. On Sundays, I actually teach Sunday school to special needs children who are autistic.
Mhm.
And that's a heavy lot to fill because at the end of that moment, that time that I have with them, I am responsible for their spiritual nourishment, however it comes. I am responsible for that.
Mhm.
So that's on an aspect where I touch the community. What is something that reaches at you or tugs at you, Casey?
I really, it's important for us, or for me, I think for both of us, to have an open community studio to where anybody can walk in and make a piece of glass or paint or just be there.
Yeah.
Totally interactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want we have a friend of ours that just started a business called Revel, and it's a program for adults with autism, and we're gonna get them on board and teach them how to make something handmade and then sell it at a festival and get them on that
Well,
bandwagon too.
for me, it was never about being an amazing artist. It was about, okay, I have a talent. I have many talents, whether it's glass or cooking or music or whatever it is. But there's other people that have these talents, don't have maybe the people in their lives to say, here, come play with this, or here, hit on these drums. Or so to me, it was just about letting what I have in my hands, somebody else have it their hands.
Somebody
Yeah.
totally and interact. And what about you, Todd? What is something through the community here in Denver, Colorado that maybe is tugging at your heart that you would see yourself networking with?
I'd say the biggest thing is probably all the change that's happening so rapidly in the state.
Yes.
My biggest concern is not necessarily the change or the population growth, but it's the natural resources. Colorado is a very fragile state, and many people moving here don't really understand that. So that kind of tugs at my heartstrings. I'd like to educate some people about, just taking care of the state. We're not going to stop people from moving here. But I think if we can network in communities and just teach people how to clean up after themselves, or
I'm
something as simple
100%,
as that.
yeah. I'm 100% with you because I don't have an issue with people coming into Colorado moving because I think that there is a wealth of resources business-wise.
Yeah.
Now, as far as natural resources, it is beautiful. And to be quite honest, from the time that springtime comes and from the moment that the leaves are turning in the falls, you have people out there in nature. And we've recently heard in the news that they've had to shut down even our own Denver parks because people were picking up after their dogs. That's not okay, people.
Right.
That's not really okay.
Right.
But I like where you're going and I like where you're going because what that does, it's a bit of a win-win situation. So you mix with the community and in turn, they're educated about your art studio. And you're telling me that I can come and interact? I can learn about
I know my digital sound technician right over here. Wouldn't you want to go and interact with the glass stuff? Oh yeah, and I'm sure there's many things that we
Oh,
can
yeah.
create back there
Yeah.
that would speak to everybody, to everybody's needs. But I think that that's pretty great. And so, and I guess maybe I get so stuck in my work life all the time that I really don't get out. But tell me a little bit about this Chuli. Am I even saying it?
Trahuli?
Thank you. Okay, so what is all that about? Do you guys know anything about?
Oh yeah, we've been to pretty much every exhibit he has come through Denver. I went to the Seattle Museum of Glass, which Chihuly pretty much owns. The Tacoma Museum of Glass, and then I've taken I've taken several classes at the Pilchuck School in Stanwood, Washington, which is basically the school he invented back in the day. Probably smoking weed, living in the woods, I don't know.
You know it.
But the concept of the school back when Chihuly started it was you can come and spend the summers out here and blow glass, but you got to build your own house.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he would have artists like Benjamin Moore, the guy from the Benjamin Moore Paint Company, and there's a few others that are escaping my mind. They would come out there and just have fun. It's on this big, like tree farm.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just have these sporadic little birdhouses that guys would sleep in for a few hours in between blowing glasses and drinking beer. But now it's morphed into this huge educational class where people from all over the world come, or educational school where people from all over the world come, and it was quite eye-opening for me. I thought I knew about glass, and then I went there. I was like, I don't know a damn thing about glass.
And I was gonna ask. So how was that experience for you? So did it allow you?
It changed everything. It changed probably the whole way I look at glass. From the time I got back from that trip, I looked at how color theory a whole lot different. I put a lot more thought into clarification and translucence of glass, things of that nature. So it completely changed everything. Because before that, I was just looking at glass and throwing it in things and be like, all right, we'll see what happens when that comes out.
Yeah.
But now it's like, all right, so if we put this and this together and add a little bit of this is what we're gonna get out of it.
But and I don't know who's creating it, but when you sent me some pictures for the poster, you have some stuff that it's like various combinations of colors,
Mhm.
and it's not like they're bleeding into each other. They
Yeah.
have very compartmentalized. They're in each. So I was like, wow, that takes a lot of talent. So who's creating that?
I do a lot of the big things. She actually has gotten a huge talent for the jewelry, for things of that nature.
Okay.
And the photo that you're probably talking, the bright gold colors.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm more of the classic, just simple colors.
Primaries.
Yeah, but there was one vase even with the flower, or I don't know if that. Yeah.
That's
And then there's the daisy. I did the daisy on that one. But a lot of the jewelry and the bears and things of that nature.
So for the folks that are listening, and we're going to do this again before we close out the show, I know they're all curious. So tell them how they can go to your website and find your art studio and your artwork.
So our website is presently under construction. We should have our trademark logo in our hand in the next week.
Okay.
So after that,
But do you guys have pictures up right now?
Facebook is the only place you can
tell them
find
how
us.
to find them on Facebook, because I know they're all curious.
www.facebook.com/La Luz Art Gallery.
Yeah,
Yes.
La Luz Art Gallery.
And
Okay.
then Instagram is @LaLuz.
At La Luz.
Studio.
Okay. Now, additionally, is there a way that, let's say, somebody wants to commission you for a piece of artwork? How can they contact you guys?
La Luz Art Studio at gmail.com.
Okay. All
Or
right.
come to 930 Inca Street.
Okay. Well, yeah, because people they'll send us feedback, and sometimes they'll want an address. But where is your art studio?
Honestly, this has happened so fast. Within the last 2 weeks, we got a place.
A friend of mine retired from the glass business, and she contacted me, and she's like, "Hey, do you want my studio space? It's this much money in the Santa Fe Arts District." And I was like, "Well, hell yes." So we went over there.
It's almost like destined. This was.
So I guess schedule we're a little behind because.
And so that happened. The logo and website, and now we're already.
But it's 930 Inca Street, Denver, Colorado 80204.
Oh wow. Okay, you guys. And are you guys gonna?
are you guys planning some big event and open
We are
house?
hoping the first Friday of October will be our big bash and luau and having all the artists we want to have in the studio. We're going to feature artists throughout Denver, actually throughout the country.
Yeah.
We know a lot of artists that are sending us product to put into our little store, into the art, the gallery, the workspace. Basically, every wall will be covered with someone's art that can be purchased. And then our glass will be there, and our jewelry will be there, and lots of other good trinkets.
Absolutely. You're gonna have to make sure that you give us an invite
I
out
will
here at
indeed.
KUHS,
Yeah.
and we could come and do a little bit of a live stream and show
Yeah,
people
yeah.
exactly, bring them right directly to your
Yeah.
storefront and show the world audience what
Indeed.
it's all about.
Yeah.
And so now, tell me something. So if you're going to do a little bit of interactive, is this going to be something? I know how they do the paint night, like how you can
Oh,
go
yeah.
sip
Yeah.
wine and go paint.
Yeah.
So is this going to be something where I can come so I can
Yeah.
sip a little bit of wine and blow a
Of
little
course.
glass?
Yeah.
Will there be classes to sign up?
There will be classes. At this point, we don't have any way of blowing glass,
Okay.
but you can come sculpt glass, you can fuse glass, you can make glass jewelry.
Put
There'll be
glass
all
on canvas.
Yeah, you can put glass on canvas. We're hopefully going to meet up with a couple of woodworkers that are going to start infusing glass into some of their wood. And so there'll be all kinds of options. Blowing glass is so expensive right now that it would be crazy money to open a furnace and I have a friend that blows glass and her furnace bill is $2,500 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and I was wondering about that. So, wow.
So everything we do is kiln based.
Okay.
We heat everything up in a kiln. And from that point, we can either fuse it solid or we can open the kiln up and manipulate it into whatever we want. We can take it out of the kiln, work with it, put it back in the kiln. It's kind of a cool process. It's a very hot process.
Absolutely.
But it's a lot of fun.
And it will be fun to come with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll have many of those nights.
Well, and I think half the fun for the ladies is just when we set the jewelry molds in front of them, rather it's a heart shape, a diamond shape, whatever. They're just like, oh wow, I could throw things in here, and tomorrow I could come pick up a piece of jewelry.
Okay, and I'm not going to be Dr. K if I don't ask, can I blow a pipe?
Well, the possibility is there, but I don't have any oxygen, so we can't blow hard glass.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, I had to.
No.
Have you?
I have blown a pipe, yes.
Okay. A bong?
No, I've never blown anything big.
Okay.
My first pipe I blew was literally that big.
Was it workable?
Yeah, if you didn't have long nose hairs.
That's awesome. Okay.
Uh,
All right, now I'm going to take a different little bit of a political curve ball, and if you don't mind, if you don't, you can refrain from asking a question. That's part of what I do here too, and then we'll come back to your art studio. So I got to ask a question, something that's been really heated, and I understand and I know a little bit of the answer, but I want to ask your perspective from somebody on the inside of a dispensary. What is going on with all the tax money with the schools?
Well,
And this is how I would explain it first. The first bit of that $40 million that was going to be paid to the underprivileged and schools that were at risk of closing.
right.
Okay. Now, on the other aspect, here's the legal aspect that I understand. It is legal here recreationally. We did vote for it. But yet you have the federal government kind of cock blocking that
Mm-hmm.
because you guys got to all get paid in cash, right?
Yeah.
So if you guys
That's
get
the theory.
yeah, so if you guys get paid in cash, how the hell are they paying that tax money to the city and the state?
Yeah.
They got to be paying it in cash. So once you guys pay that in cash, then what is the state and the city doing about it?
Well,
Sorry, but I just had to throw that.
because her and I have had this conversation on multiple occasions and levels. One of my biggest things about the industry is that the banks won't work with us.
Exactly.
But the crazy thing is, and I'm going to add a lot of things here,
Come on, bring it.
my paycheck is cut from Wells Fargo in an account in California. So the banks are taking the money and cutting checks into, but the way companies like I work for get around that is they are a management corporation.
Okay.
So if you went and looked up the TGS Corporation, there would be no link to dispensaries. It
That's
would just,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the crazy. I've learned about so many loopholes. So about the education, I will say that in the small rural areas, we were seeing, Apple computer labs pop up in rural computer schools and things like that.
So for all the critics out there that are saying it's not happening, well, of course it's not going to happen in Cherry Creek School
Right,
District.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is underprivileged
Right.
schools, people in schools that are at risk at closing.
Well, I would say a majority of the people at the school she taught in, and correct me if I'm wrong, in Carbondale was Hispanic farmers, helpers, kids. And for them to get 20,000, well, I'm just saying that
No,
there's,
but he's demographically.
yeah, it's probably a majority of what goes on there.
Yeah.
If not the whole Roaring Fork Valley, because there's a lot of farming, there's a lot of labor that goes on out there. And for them to get $20,000 computer labs, I would say that the money's working. Now, I'm not trying to defend anybody whose hands in the envelope, because we all know politically somebody's hands in the envelope.
Absolutely. That's why I don't understand why I think it benefits them more to keep it that way. Yeah.
Well, if the banks if they would remove that restriction on the banks, it would be a whole different ballgame.
Oh.
But the crazy thing is, there is no restrictions because my paycheck is cut from Wells Fargo.
Wow, that was I think for me, it's a little bit of an eye-opener. One of the first jobs, I was living in Arizona for 12 years, but when I moved back to Colorado, I was working for a company that did trimming. And I thought that was going to be pretty cool. At least I could say that, I got my hands on it. And I did for a moment. But for a long time, we were getting paid in cash because we just couldn't.
Yeah.
And then when it started turning into checks, then nobody wanted to cash our checks.
Right.
Because it was coming back to, it was part of the weed business. Yeah, the dispensary or the weed business. And it was pretty frustrating on that aspect. But I think if and when, I think that this electoral campaign I am so critical right now on every aspect. The circus rig. And people seem to think that Hillary and Trump are the only two candidates. Hello, they're not. No. Whatever happens, but for a philanthropic person, if you are jumping on this, the moment they remove that federal block, you need to jump on a financial institution, specifically for people that are in the weed industry, because that is a bit of a hot cake.
Oh, yeah.
And otherwise, for the first person that didn't jump on it, shame on you. You're already out of the game. But yeah,
there's dispensary owners used to, they were showing up to county clerk's offices with $35,000 in a briefcase.
Yeah.
And they were wondering why they had a gun on them. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm coming to pay my taxes with $35,000.
And now you guys have to have security guards too,
Right.
because of the amount of business. Yeah. So it's not the fact that you guys are not paying it, because if you guys don't pay for it, you will be shut down. Yeah. You guys are all paying taxes. Yeah. Now, the question should be asked back to the state, to the county, and to the city. What are you doing with the taxes once they pay for it? Yeah. Are you allocating it to the right resources? Yeah. So it is a bit frustrating. It is not putting it back on the dispensaries. I just wanted to answer a bit of that question.
Well, it's, the dispensary is a service industry. It's like any other service industry. You get paid below living wages to make someone else a lot of money. And, it takes a lot to open a dispensary. There's all kinds of nickel and diming they do to these dispensary owners as far as license fees and this and that.
God.
The regulations can change on a Tuesday night, and they have to be in effect by Friday morning. So I wouldn't want to go through that hassle either. But again, I think it's just like any other industry. There's some crookedness in it. There's some loopholes where people are getting stupid rich.
Yeah.
Depends
on what outlet you're going with or what venue. But have you learned a lot now that you've dabbled in the weed business?
Yeah, I've learned a lot about the plant. I've also learned a lot about just
the people that smoke it.
Yeah, the people that smoke it. The tourists are always the fun part of the job. And you know,
You meet different people, you'll meet Dr. K.
well, I always love the people that come in from somewhere else that are like my father's age, and you know, we'll take them through the whole store, and they'll buy like 2 joints, and then we'll get them all wrapped up and ready to go, and they're like, "So I can leave." Yeah, you can leave. You're cool. You're good. Nobody's gonna kick your ass when you get outside the door.
No, then they're kind of like, well, where do I smoke this?
Right.
Okay, I don't know. My wife's not gonna let me smoke it. I
Right.
tell them, you have a bicycle, get on that bike and
Right.
work.
Find the local park with no one around.
Oh, you know, it depends on what neighborhood you got or who's your
Sure.
neighbor. You might want to share with your
Yeah.
neighbor. But
Right.
there's a lot to learn in the weed industry. I think that for the people that are still moving here, there's a lot of hype in it. But it's a lot of hard work too,
But
isn't it?
I think, you know, one of the downsides to all the people moving here is that a lot of people are moving here thinking that they're going to get a job at McDonald's and get their $900 apartment. And shit is not like that in Denver anymore. There's not $600 apartments. Most jobs in the city are below a living wage income. And they get here and, you know, they got $75,000 in college debt and they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And, you know, I love, you know, most everybody I work with is millennials, and I love their mentality. I love their attitude, but those guys really kind of got
Sense of
sold.
entitlement.
Well, and they got sold down the river.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps worse than my generation did, as far as, yeah, get this great education, you're going to make a lot of money, and you get out and you realize, oh, damn, I make $11 an hour just like everybody else that's, you know, didn't go to school.
And
Or,
I can't make rent, and I can't pay for my
Right.
car or put gas.
And I think that also, not to snowball into anything else, but I think that also can be a contributor to the homelessness that's gotten worse in Denver in the 20 years I've lived here. And also probably the heroin epidemic we're seeing amongst the teenagers. And
Not weed, it's the heroin. And, you know, and it makes me think, how old are these kids? Where are they getting heroin?
Yeah, it's,
And meth,
Yeah.
too. Yeah, so it's not the weed. And they say that weed is the gateway drug. No, it wasn't.
well, the funny thing is about the weed being the gateway drug is I would say a majority of my locals that come into the store have never smoked. Because they're only smoking now because they can actually go purchase it.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know what they do for a living. I don't know anything about them, but they're just like, all right, now that it's legal, I'll try it.
Yeah.
And, you know, thank heaven for people with that mentality, because I've been doing it illegally for a majority of my life.
I know it's still a bit of an ironic thing for me.
Yeah.
But interesting that you talked about the homelessness, because that's part of my foundation and that's what we do. And I think the sad state here in Colorado is that if I turn my head and I didn't see it, there's no problem.
Right.
So there is a serious problem, and KUHSdenver.com has been commissioned to create these documentaries and a film that will be produced to the film festival, and we are educating them not necessarily on the homelessness, because that's the Homeless Coalition.
Right.
And we are, in essence, partnered up with them, but to raise an awareness on a whole different level. We are talking about women, and not necessarily women who have been affected by domestic violence. Their husband may have died. He may just have abandoned them. You never know what the circumstances are, but they carry children, and they are the invincible because they are afraid of social services. And so there is no room for them in a shelter. And if they go to a shelter, they're quickly pushed out because it's not the environment for children. And they have to share that with a roommate or however. And so part of Embassy of Healing and People's Place of Hope, what we are doing is we are trying to raise awareness that there is a serious issue with homelessness here in Denver, Colorado. And we're trying to raise $700,000. Yes, people, we are trying to raise $700,000 to buy a piece of property that is totally self-sustainable, but untouchable by social services. So by acquiring this piece of property and being listed out there as resource for these women and children, is we're hope to put tons of tiny homes, because as a woman, you give her her own space, she becomes independent all over again. We want it to be self-sustaining, so they can garden, there'll be animals for touch therapy, there'll be holistic spiritual healing all the way around. For the kids, there'll be K through 12. for the women, there will be online schooling. And that is our way here at KUHSdenver.com of mixing things up with the community. And it's by raising awareness and intermingling that, and by touching people on a whole different emotional aspect. We're giving them musical therapy all over the world. So. And we're being told that there is no other shelter like that in the world. Here in Colorado, if, let's say today, your husband, after watching the Broncos game, maybe gets a little upset because we lost, or however be, we don't want to jinx our Broncos, and he takes a baseball bat to you, and you're put in that situation, there's a 2-year waiting list to get into a shelter. That's a pretty sad state right now. There is a problem here in Colorado, and if you're in denial, maybe there's a problem with you too. And I think that it's a little bit about perception. So a lot of times we misjudge a situation. We see a woman struggling with a whole bunch of kids, and she might look disheveled. She might look a bit rattled, maybe dirty. Her kids are dirty. Their kids' noses are running. You don't know what's going on in their life. And it's not up to you to judge that situation. You really don't know what's going on. And so we're trying to foster a specific outlet for this, and that's where we're going. So it was interesting that you brought up the
wonderful news. Yeah, we would love to be part of that and help you.
If you would love to be part of that, our first meeting, our first coalition meeting is actually going to be next week. It's going to be held at my law firm. And what we're trying to do is we're continuing to raise awareness. We've already been told if we make these videos, the money will come, because people know that there is a specific need for this. And my concern is that winter is coming, and people are already telling us about women who need to be in a shelter, and we don't have this place. We already have the property. We have permit plans that have already been approved. We just need the money. So if people are out there and they're listening, you can go to embassyofhealing.org. And if you want to participate with our meeting on September 14th, you go and you RSVP. We have some women that are going to be participating in this, and anonymity is at 100% because some of their cases are still extremely active. So if you would like to participate, and we still have some open slots for director positions, let us know how you guys would like to participate. We would love to bring you guys all in. So that's what we're doing. That's how we're touching the community.
Nice. Yeah.
And we have some female MMA fighters and some other MMA fighters that are come in, make some impact statements. Our hope is to maybe do a bit of a big open house and do some self-defense. Maybe you guys can come in and do some art therapy with them.
Absolutely.
And I know that I like just touching things and being artistic and being very creative is very holistic on many different realms.
Hugely.
So that would be awesome if you guys could totally participate with that.
We're in.
Okay. That is awesome. Okay. All right. So again, for all of our viewers out there that are listening in, what is your Facebook page and how can they find you guys?
Facebook.com/LaLuz Art Studio.
Okay. And then your art studio is going to be located off of
930 Inca.
Yeah.
Denver, Colorado. Yeah, basically
Block
a block off Santa Fe. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're building a big level 1 media complex right there. So if there's construction, just past the construction.
And Cocoa Bikes next door.
Oh yeah,
our new
Cocoa Bikes
neighbors.
is next door. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys! And then even in the summertime when all the lunch trucks do their thing.
Oh yeah.
You guys are in a prime spot. And I know that everybody's going to want to stay tuned to their Facebook. I know that their website is still under construction. They're still getting things put up there. But when they get things up and running and going, they plan on having a big open house.
Indeed.
And
First Friday of October. I'm not sure what date that is right now, but it'll be the first Friday in October. We'll feature a lot of the artists and the products we're going to sell. We'll have our own products out there, and hopefully by then we'll have all the glass and all the kilns plugged in, and we can just play and cook and drink beers and have a good time.
Yeah,
Eat a taco from the taco truck.
oh my gosh.
See, that's the best. That's Santa
Not just
Fe. You
on
get the best
Tuesday nights.
tacos.
Yeah. And then it'll also be, you said Friday nights, interactive nights, or
Yes.
Yes.
Well, anytime.
Anytime.
My girlfriends have already said, "Can I have work parties here?" And
And I was gonna say
That's
that.
kinda
So private parties, if I wanted to
Mhm.
schedule a private party and go in, you guys would be able to totally
we
facilitate
want
that.
the space. It was real important for us to get a space that was big enough for anybody to come, anybody, friends of the Lutz, to use for whatever they need to use it for. Not only
No.
for firing glass.
Well, if
it's
you
a
needed
great
a place
space.
to put your sewing machine for 5 hours, or you needed a
Yeah.
place to have a, a
Birthday
work
party.
outing or a birthday party for your kiddo, where you can,
We have a friend that brews his
let them
own
run around.
So a
beer.
little bit of like co-op, right?
Yeah. Many uses.
Mhm.
So, again, it's just about offering what we have to everybody else, and hope in return we get,
And on that note, offering what you have, you guys are available and up for hire on commission basis, right? So if they
Indeed.
want to commission you for a specific job, even for a stained glass window, stuff like
Mhm.
that. Yeah,
I don't do traditional stained glass, but
Oh,
I do
no,
mosaic
no,
stained
not
glass.
traditional.
Well,
Highly toxic.
the lead is toxic, so
Yeah.
they say. But
like artistic work
oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Oh
we can do
yeah.
all kinds of sizes and shapes, and I'm working on a series of hanging lights right now that I want to get done. So yeah, pretty much anything. I'll try it. If it sucks, I'll try it again, and we'll see where I go from there.
And we're looking for people that work with metal and wood.
Yeah.
We'd like to collaborate.
Yeah.
So
So if there are people out there that would like to get a hold of you, and what's your email address again?
LaLooseArtStudio@gmail.com.
And so you are looking for people that are willing to collaborate with you guys
Yeah.
and work with you on this aspect.
Yeah, and we have space. Like I said, if you have a welder and you don't have a space, we have a space. Just bring it over, and we can make some things have fun.
And kiln time. We also, if you play with glass and you don't have your hands on a kiln, come over and we'll fire your.
There are a
your
lot of
stuff.
art students I know, specifically even with CU and various places throughout the community where they are doing this, but they don't have the resources to do the kiln part. So you guys would be able to
Oh yeah, we
resource
have
that.
We would love that.
3 kilns, one semi-small kiln that can do small pieces, and then 2 very large kilns that can do up to 42-inch pieces. And,
That's awesome.
so if you have something sitting at your house that your grandkid glued together for you 2 years ago, bring it over. We'll fuse it together.
That would be me. That would totally be. And as we are coming up to this last part of finishing up these last few minutes, do you guys want to give a shout out to anybody? Do you want to give thanks to anybody that's helped you get out here?
Well, I think most importantly, just the people that have backed us through the last year and a half. Todd Niebuhr, our graphics designer, who's killing it right now for us. All of our friends up and down the mountain ranges in Colorado. There's a lot of you. If I don't name you, don't feel bad.
They'll come and find
They're
you.
they're all inspirations and have inspired us to do this because we want this for not just us but for them too.
Yeah, it's a place for. I have a friend that works a 9-to-5 job. He can't stand it. He just does it because that's what's expected of us. So he comes to the studio on the weekends, and that's his downtime. So whatever it is, it's
therapy of some sort.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so our friends they've been there and watched us go through the hard times, and they've been there and we've helped them through the hard times through the art.
And I'd like to thank you and this connection that you two.
Well, the thing of it is with me is that being a Virgo and being extremely OCD, I don't do things out of the norm. And I broke my foot severely at the beginning of the year. It doesn't really look like it or appear to be it, but I really did. And I really did went through a big struggle. And my struggle has been a lot of the outside and the image and trying to show people that I'm not really handicapped. There's nothing really wrong with me and I can come through this. At some point, they weren't sure that I was going to be able to walk.
But there was a whole different dynamic to that, and it's the fact that I am extremely allergic and I have adverse reactions to opiates. Even as I had had surgery to remove a lot of the bones, my bottom portion of my foot is bionic. Um, I couldn't do the morphine drip. I couldn't do any of that. And so for the people that really don't understand what it is that the medicinal part of marijuana does, I know that there's a lot of people that have a misconception and they think that we're all drug use and it's a drug. It is not a drug. I will tell you that I have a lot of people in my church that are sitting there and they're doped out on opiates. My aspect is not going to give me those kind of side effects. I can function, I can do what I need to do, and you know what? In some aspects, depending on what strain it is, it's actually taking down the swelling. So those little enhancers you guys have, those are the bomb. I have to tell you,
The terpenes.
there's one I think with the tea oil or
the pinene.
the pinene.
Yeah.
Okay, that is what I use. To reduce the swelling on my foot. And if I don't do that, I know for a fact that the swelling will go back up. So I don't know what the issue with that is.
I wonder what terpenes in there. I mean, the terpenes pinene, but I wonder what it has that.
It works. And when I don't use that, then my ankle gets extremely swollen.
Because
So
THC in general can be an
It's a wonderful plant.
It is. It is. And it doesn't, you know, for a lot of people, and this is the other misconception, a lot of people are really not smoking it. Because that's the medicinal part about it. You have the old school OG people that unfortunately, dabbing's all great and all that really,
passed me by.
enjoyed.
Right.
So, you know, and a Case Great Solution is out there listening. I've been chasing you guys for about a year for sponsorship, just because I am a lot about the community. And if you're looking to engage and meet up with the community, I can definitely give you that outlet. I'm very connected with the political people out here. So reach out to Dr. K. It's been a pleasure, Casey. It's been a pleasure, Todd.
Indeed.
Always. Yeah.
Indeed.
And I would love to be a part of your guys' open house and come and showcase that to people outside the world that are listening to tonight.
Sure.
And show them what it's all about.
Of course.
And additionally, we will definitely be incorporating you guys somehow with art therapy, with the empathy of healing and people's place of hope. So I think that would be phenomenal. I'll get you information too as well. And if you guys want to participate in our meeting on September 14th. And for everybody else that is interested, you guys know how to find me on Facebook, Dr. K. Otherwise, you can go to kuhsdenver.com, DBJ, and you can find my picture, and it will connect you to my Dr. K page. I do not accept personal friendship requests from anybody. I'm just a little bit OCD that way. But if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Dr. K. So until next time, live well, be good, love life, however you want to do it, just have fun. And so we'll see you next time, same place, same time, 4 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time on KUHSdenver.com, only on Thursdays. Ciao, bye, peace. And then the rock box.
And we end up friends.
I told you it goes fast.
Yeah, I love it. I worked in radio in Denver for a few years, actually.
Yeah. Did you bring a USB?
No.
If you guys have a USB, I was gonna say we can transfer to the show.
We'll
I'll try to. Yeah.
I think I have
If you.
several.
Yeah. Or otherwise, I'm gonna podcast it too, and so I'll get you guys shared with that. Henry usually comes in the morning, not right now, but he comes in and tries to add a little bit of the video. We captured that last hour with you guys, and he puts it up on YouTube. You can take that and put it on your website. People love videos on the website. It helps. So,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool.
Did you like it?
Yeah. Once I realized I was just having a conversation with her, and I ignored all this, and was like, oh.
it's really